Okay, let's just dive right in. Welcome to today's Explainer. We are unpacking a seriously dense, completely fascinating source text that maps out a unified theory of self-sustaining, spiritual ecosystems. If you've ever wondered how the biblical ark could serve as a literal blueprint for the Earth's ecology and even your own physical body, well, you are absolutely in the right place.
To make sense of all these complex metaphors, we're going to follow a really clear path today. We'll hit the ark and spiritual arcology, the body as living arcology, sacrament systems of spiritual energy, the exodus of the soul, the triune blueprint of creation, and wrap it all up with the three hierarchies of angels.
All right, let's start right at the beginning with Section 1, the ark and spiritual arcology. Now, the source text we're looking at does something totally fascinating. It takes the historical ark and frames it not just as a boat or a historical vessel, right, but as an early literal model for arcology. If you're not familiar, arcology is this incredible fusion of architecture and ecology. It's essentially the ultimate ecological engineering blueprint, a closed-loop, completely self-sustaining ecosystem where everything you need for life is perfectly balanced and housed right inside one unifying structure.
And this is where it gets really interesting, because the text brilliantly illustrates how both the biblical ark and the earth itself function in exactly the same way. Think about it. The ark's acacia wood represents the interconnectedness of natural forest life, right? And the pure gold, or aurum, actually projects the spiritual strength, the aura of a living being. Then, look at the Earth. Our planet is basically a giant macro arc. Its soil composition, its river networks, even the magmatic activity deep underground, they all function as a massive, closed-loop natural system designed purely to protect and sustain life.
Moving right along to Section 2, the body as living arcology.
So if we take this massive concept of planetary ecology and scale it way, way down, we arrive at the ultimate vessel, the human body. According to the framework, the human body is literally a living arcology. It's a complete microcosm where internal harmony is what maintains your health and keeps your spiritual energy cycles flowing. Just like the Earth balances its rivers and magma, your body functions by keeping all of its organs and biological elements in perfect biological and spiritual harmony. It's all completely connected.
But here is the absolute crucial point of the entire text. Rigid structure is totally secondary. The key to a functioning arcology is way less about the physical structure itself and so much more about relationships and energy distribution. I mean, think about it. A body is only healthy if the connections inside it are communicating properly and distributing energy efficiently. The structure only matters if it enforces those healthy connections within the vessel. Because when those internal relationships break down, well, that is when we see disease. You can actually identify spiritual disharmony just by looking at the physical vessel. The text connects at least 4 specific biological ailments directly to elemental imbalances. For example, a fever is linked to fire. Respiratory issues, that's a disharmony of wind. Metabolic diseases tie back to the earth element, and nervous system ailments are linked to lightning. So biological sickness is really just the physical manifestation of a breakdown in your internal arcology.
Okay, let's shift gears a bit to Section 3, Sacraments, Systems of Spiritual Energy.
So how do we repair that internal disharmony? Well, we have to utilize specific systems of spiritual energy. To understand this, let's look back at the actual contents of the physical ark. Inside, you had 3 specific items: the 10 Commandments, which represent the law and the life-giving word, the rod of Aaron, symbolizing consecrated authority, and manna. That manna was literally bread from heaven, and it provided the exact physical sustenance required to keep the Israelites alive out in the wilderness. Now, the text beautifully maps those physical contents to actionable steps for balancing your own internal arcology, specifically through the 7 sacraments. Step 1 is baptism, which is this initial infusion of grace to clear out original disharmony. Step 2 is penance, giving you a way to actively repair personal spiritual fractures. And step 3 is the Eucharist. The Eucharist acts as the ultimate spiritual sustenance. It perfectly mirrors the manna in the ark, providing the essential energy required to strengthen your human soul as a spiritual vessel. It's a direct one-to-one parallel.
Which brings us to Section 4, the exodus of the soul.
This entire energy system was ultimately tested through the historical exodus, but the text describes the exodus as much more than just physical survival. It's an allegorical, almost purgatorial journey to heal a fractured spiritual ecosystem. First, the bondage in Egypt represents immense spiritual peril and a total fracturing of the soul, what the text actually calls being cast into the realm of the dead. Second, crossing the Sea of Reeds isn't just an escape. It's framed as a collective baptism for the entire nation, mirroring their deliverance.
And finally, that grueling journey through the wilderness, that was absolutely necessary for ridding the people of the psychological and spiritual conditioning of slavery. They had to be healed before they could inherit the promised land.
All right, scaling back up now. Section 5, the triune blueprint of creation.
Having explored the microcosm of the human body and the journey of the soul, we really need to scale out to the ultimate macrocosm, the divine Trinity. The text explains that this triune nature, three distinct persons sharing a single essence, is the original energetic blueprint. It's the ultimate blueprint that all other spiritual archaeologies are modeled on. You have the Father, the Creator who ordered the universe, the Son, the Restorer who repairs fractured creation and reclaims humanity from disharmony, and the Holy Spirit, the Sanctifier who distributes spiritual gifts and energy to humanity. Because we are created in this image, human free will and our perfectly integrated body, soul, and spirit are modeled directly upon this perfectly balanced triune archaeology.
And finally, Section 6, the three hierarchies of angels.
So we have this immense divine energy, but how is it actually distributed efficiently throughout the cosmos? According to the text, that's where the densely structured angelic choirs come in, and they are categorized by their proximity to God. It flows downward. The first hierarchy, the seraphim, cherubim, and thrones, are closest to the divine blueprint. They're focused entirely on contemplation, wisdom, and establishing stability. They pass that energy and knowledge down to the second hierarchy, dominions, virtues, and powers, who are charged with cosmic governance, managing the elements, and executing miracles. And then finally, it reaches the third hierarchy, principalities, archangels, and angels. These are the ones tasked directly with human protection, conveying directives, and maintaining the spiritual health of individual human vessels. It is literally a perfect system of energy distribution, from the very top of the macrocosm all the way down to you.
And as we wrap up this explainer, we return right back to where we started, you. I want you to consider your own mind, body, and spirit as an interconnected ecosystem. You are a living arcology. Based on the incredible blueprints we've explored today, from the closed natural loops of the Earth all the way to the flow of the angelic hierarchies, ask yourself, is the energy within your own internal arcology currently flowing toward harmony or disharmony? Are your daily choices fortifying your vessel, or are they fracturing its structure? Something to think about, right? Understanding these interconnected systems really is the first step toward true balance. Thanks so much for joining me to unpack these wild concepts and keep exploring.